welcome to Moviebusters, the 8th episode, and this time we're talking about Japanese cinema. So my choice was Akira, which won
by
Jack's
a
choice,
landslide.
By a landslide,
so give him credit for that.
Rob wins, hashtag.
Nah, mate, that's never going to be trending, alright?
Well,
Once you get 4 in a row, like the big man over here, then you can start reaching for the skies.
So what did you
But
choose?
until then, stay levelled, Rob.
4 in a row.
What did you choose anyway, Dave?
You didn't get 4 in a row. You got 3.
Well, I got 3, and then you guys were like, "Well, we need to do our own
Rob
choices."
was asking you a question.
Well,
What did
I'm
you
trying to
choose?
defend my honour. I chose Ozu's Tokyo Story.
Have you seen it before?
Yeah.
Have you seen that on DVD or cinema?
I saw it on DVD. I didn't see it in cinema.
Yeah, but sometimes they get re-released. Don't they? Ran's just got re-released.
Or
which I
sometimes you get them
chose.
shown.
Sorry, what was that?
Yeah.
What did you choose?
So I chose Akira Kurosawa's epic, one of his final epics, Ran, which is
It's his final film, wasn't it? It's 85.
No, I don't think it's the final film.
Okay.
No, I think he did a few little ones afterwards, but
Okay.
this is his epic King Lear reimagining in Japanese folklore.
Yeah.
So it's just been re-released on 4K restoration, DVD, Blu-ray, and it had a small cinema release.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, I bought it on Blu-ray, and I thought, well, I'll pick that because I haven't actually seen. I know this is bad for a film student, but I haven't seen one Akira Kurosawa film.
It is bad especially for you, considering you're always ripping to me for not seeing films.
Well, I mean,
Like,
I love that. Like Seven Samurai is 3 hours, but Rashomon or Yojimbo are like hour and 30 minutes.
Yeah, Rashomon's probably one of my favourite
That's
films.
a perfect. And obviously, I'd love to see them 2 films specifically on Blu-ray, but I haven't got around to it. I mean, I've got Ran, and I've got his. The film before Ran, which was the dress rehearsal. It's a 3-hour epic of a warlord who gets a double, and the warlord dies, and the double has to take over. But it's got a very strange name. It's called Cage of Musha or something.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I recognise that.
So I've never seen any Akira Kurosawa films, and I was trying to get my
I've seen
1-2 in there.
quite a fair few, but like quite a dynamic kind of range as well. Because like a lot of people kind of see him as like kind of like samurai kind of films and stuff like that. But he's also like one of my favourite films as well is Akira. It's about a guy who gets cancer and realises that his entire life has been just sat in an office job, and it's about his life after that. So that's very very.
I mean,
good
it's an actual like on principle. He's a very like character driven director. Like
definitely.
Obviously, set pieces are epic in proportion, like Ran and Seven Samurai. But he's one of the directors. I think if I had to compare him to anyone, he's probably the David Lean of Japanese cinema.
Okay.
David Lean obviously directed The Bridge of the River Kwai and Lawrence of Arabia. Big epics.
Yeah, okay.
British director as well. Suppose you haven't heard of him, Dave. Moving on.
I say I hadn't heard of him. I was trying to get a word in, but like... Okay. I know that guy.
Yeah, David Lean's a wonderful director. He directed Hobson's Choice as well, my dad's favourite film.
Well, one thing I would say about Kurosawa, and this is a very odd thing to say, but I think you'll realise when you watch one of his films eventually, he probably writes some of the best drunk characters in any film there is. Like drunk characters.
Yeah.
There's always drunk characters in his films as well. There's always at least one.
That's how like Japanese portray maniacs, though, don't they? Or someone like look at The Host or Old Boy.
Yeah.
Well, which is obviously The Host is a South Korean film, but I mean like sort of the Asian sort of filmographer. So we lost by a landslide, but we didn't choose bad films. It's probably the week where they had 3 films that I don't think anyone could have said, oh, it's not very good. I think it was a tight race, but obviously Akira won 78% of the vote.
The reason for that was that out of the 2 films, Akira is probably more known.
It's more modern.
More watchable.
Yeah.
Well, more watchable, I think. Accessible as well.
Accessible, definitely. Because the thing of animation, which I think we'll get into later, is that it doesn't matter when it's being made. You can tell when there's effort being put into it. Yeah. And you can tell it's always going to stand up if it's good animation.
So Akira's from 1988 as well, which that needs to be a huge member.
Yeah.
Mine Ran is 1985. What is Ozu's Tokyo Story?
It's like 50, isn't it?
Yeah, it's around 50s.
50s.
Yeah, it's pre-67 anyway.
Yeah, so I mean, Japanese cinema, everyone does state stuff like, the Japanese cinema now is one of the highlights of its years. But I disagree. I think that Japanese cinema's been around a long time. Yeah. I think it hasn't really got the acknowledgement it probably deserves. I think Kurosawa definitely. Obviously, the director of Akira actually wrote the manga novel. It's interesting how they talk about properties of films.
It's an interesting thing as well now about Japanese cinema is that I think it's kind of gone a long way away from where it was now. If you think about like big releases from Japan where everybody's going to see them, the only things there really is that I can think of is Studio Ghibli, which are like kind of in a mainstream audience.
And even then,
it's trailing off.
It's
from
sparse.
It
Yeah, I mean he's retired now apparently, hasn't he? He's had enough.
Apparently, but that's. You never know.
Is it Miyazaki, isn't it? He's a very old man now.
There's a documentary about him, and the way he works is very, very like. If he's not working, it seemed to me like when he wasn't working, he didn't know what to do with himself. So, and
that's a lot. And that's a director in general, though, because I think if you look at when you see like Kubrick or Terrence Malick, and they don't work for a prolonged amount of time. I don't know how because film is their life, and how they direct certain aspects of film where there's no we're telling them like there's no script. With Kubrick, everything is precise and precision everywhere. Yeah. I find it strange how these directors actually don't work for a living. Yeah. And then you've got Alfred Hitchcock who did a film like basically every other year. Woody Allen does a film every other year. Yeah. And documentary filmmakers tend to do films quite often. Yeah. So it's interesting how, like you say, like Miyazaki doesn't work, and then he feels lost.
Yeah, I would recommend watching that documentary actually as well.
What's it called? Can you tell the audience?
I can't actually remember what it's called, to be honest. But
I think I've seen a highlight of it. He talks about he's there with a cat, isn't he? And he talks about something. I think I may have seen parts of it from my college.
There's I imagine if you just type in Miyazaki documentary, it'll pop up straight away. But...
I'm going to be honest with you both, though. I'm not a big fan of Studio Ghibli.
Okay,
I appreciate it, but I don't. I've never really. I've seen My Neighbor Totoro. Yeah. Totoro, is it?
Totoro, yeah.
Totoro, sorry. I've seen. What's the one with the fish?
Ponyo.
Ponyo, I've seen Ponyo, that's it.
Yeah. Have you seen any Ghibli before, Dave?
No.
No.
It's really weird because it's not. We'd have thought with the whole Pixar trend in the United Kingdom, America, which is huge. Yeah. You'd have thought that Studio Ghibli would have been.
It would have erupted.
Well, yeah, erupted is a good word, yeah. But it has. I don't think it's been established quite well over here yet.
I get it, but I think there's a big audience for it in the UK, but I don't think it's actually hit the mainstream properly.
Well, Studio Ghibli once made a film called Kimba the White Lion in 1988, I believe. Yeah. And Disney made The Lion King around the same time, and Studio Ghibli sued Disney for it and won in court. So that is why a Lion King sequel never came out in the cinema. Yeah. For one thing, they took a gross of the profits for Kimba the White Lion. Yeah. And they demanded that no sequel be made or released in the cinema, so they couldn't get more money. So Disney, in spite, released them all on DVD, and they did the same thing with
Aladdin.
Yeah, Aladdin's sequel came out in the cinema.
No, it's like 4 Aladdin sequels.
Yeah, maybe there's still like a Bambi sequel.
They
made Aladdin TV series. Yeah.
Things interesting. Toy Story 2 was meant to be a sequel on DVD, but they originally released a 1 hour shot of it, and then they expanded it because it got so well received when it came out, and then they got a full cinema release after that.
Yeah, Pixar and me, I find very strange. I don't think they should make sequels, but
then again, they are so good. They have been very good at them.
I mean, I would never wanted to have not grown up without Toy Story 2, and obviously the third part is just a magical animation.
Probably one of the best trilogies.
I don't think Cars 2 and 3 should ever be made. Monsters University should never have been made. Finding Dory is only being made because of their loss with John Carter the previous years. Yeah. The Disney Pixar need to it's a consumerism, isn't it? So they need to make more money to obviously make more things.
I'm not really sure about that film at all either.
Finding Nemo is a perfect film.
Yeah, Dory was good in that film because she was in moderation, but her character I can imagine being very, very, very grating.
But I feel like she's not going to be in it very much, is she? Because it's Finding Dory.
You say that, but with Finding Nemo, he was still very.
Yeah, he was.
I guess but what do you guys think of like original Pixar films? Sort of like instead of making sequels like Brave or like Inside Out.
Right.
What do you guys think of those?
I prefer the original. I have to be honest. I prefer the original work.
I think
they should never make The Incredibles stands itself on alone. Really good film.
Yeah.
And then
the sequel's coming out now. Isn't it?
Yeah. Why make the sequel?
To be fair, they sort of dangled a sequel in front of you at the end of the film, and then they hadn't done anything about it since 2004.
I think that's the exception, yeah.
You could always say that was because it's such calling to superhero films anyway. They can almost wonder that that's kind of a calling to superhero films in itself, because they always do that anyway, don't they? So
I just hope they don't go through the it's been how many times it's been since the first film to now. And they go through like the teen angst stage and all that, and their marriage is going through divorce and stuff like that. I just really hope they don't go down that line. But then again, it's Pixar, so they probably won't.
They won't do anything hard hitting, and even if it is, it'll be.
That's what I would do, man.
It'll be on the nose.
As a studio, they are on a borderline of making brilliant films and making profit. Like they definitely have been in recent years. Anyway,
Well,
Cars 2.
I mean, the thing about that, that Cars 2 is specifically, if you look at the Disney Pixar films like Bug's Life, a really good film, really good fun. Never made a sequel to it.
Yeah.
You look at all these films. Yeah, well, precisely, yet.
Yeah.
You look at all these films, like, I don't think... The reason why I think they make films like Brave is purely because they try to take that secondary step without having to go back and redo films. But yet, when Brave came out, it wasn't critically perceived as
one of the best Pixar films.
And then obviously they go and make a sequel, and then another sequel, and then they make another film and it bombs, and then they make another sequel. It's a very strange.
I think it'd be difficult for Pixar to put a film out to bomb though. Like at this point, like I've personally seen every single Pixar.
I don't think they'll bomb, but I don't think they'll be well received.
Yeah, okay,
Brave wasn't well received.
Which was, I think, Brave was his biggest misfire because it was. You can tell by the film it was meant to be well received because it was.
Yeah, it looks gorgeous though. Her hair, it spent years doing that.
And the underlying story was there, but there was nothing really to it too much.
It could have been a lot more.
Yeah, it could have been a lot more. So, should we get into our choices? Well, not get into choices, but get into like the difference between them.
Yeah,
I'd like to talk about my choice because I feel like we haven't talked about
Tokyo
that
Story.
So go through Tokyo Story then.
I haven't seen Tokyo Story.
I won't spoil it for you.
No, don't spoil it
please
at all.
don't.
Because it is big spoilers.
How long is it going for? Do you know?
I'm pretty sure it's an hour and 40 minutes.
That's not a bad runtime.
For Japanese cinema, it's not bad as well.
I'll have to check quickly. It's
Akira's,
1953, by the way.
It's about an hour 50, I think.
No, Akira's 2 hours.
2 hours, okay.
2 hours 5, I think.
It's 2 hours 10. It's 130 minutes, Akira.
Right.
But Tokyo Story actually goes on for 2 hours and 16 minutes. It does run on.
But you just said it was an hour.
Yeah, I know, but I got IMDb to the right.
So 2 hours and
16 minutes.
Okay.
It does run on, but there is a reason behind it, I feel, because Ozu... I don't want to say it's like a sort of the Japanese version of kitchen sink cinema.
No, I think you're right.
Because it could be.
I love this point. I think Dave comes on to a really good thing there because if you look at the works of Ken Loach and Mike Leigh, and you look at Ozu's Tokyo Story, it's very comparable. I mean, there's certain aspects of the productions, where it's not a big budget film. It's quite limited. It's more character driven. It's real life problems. You look at Akira. I mean, come on.
It's pure aesthetics.
Yeah.
Yeah,
especially Akira. And Ran is a Japanese folklore turned with a Shakespeare tale.
But all of these films are very, 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 very much grounded in Japanese kind of Japanese cinema and what it's
culture,
about.
Very special Japanese culture.
Because Studio Ghibli is very aesthetic as well, and that's a very big part of Japanese cinema as well.
You have
part of Japanese.
When's the Ozu Love Story set?
1953.
When's it actually set though?
53.
So that's post Hiroshima.
God, you're making me.
And then Akira is
set on
the nuclear
dystopia, isn't it?
Yeah. And then Ran is the sort of
it's like samurai era.
Yeah. So it's all about especially I think you two got comparables. My Japanese samurai films are always about culture of that leadership and that dignity and that. It's sort of the culture of Japanese cinemas, especially The Last Samurai, where it's respect.
Yeah, I think you'll find it very, very difficult to find a Japanese film which isn't set around Japanese culture.
Yeah.
Well, this Tokyo Story is particularly set around the Japanese culture of family, which is big in Japan.
Yeah, it's a very big thing.
Which is also a similar theme in Ran with the three brothers.
I think it is very. I think most Japanese. I don't want to say most, but I think a lot of Japanese cinema does revolve around the sort of family.
Yeah,
it's big in Japan.
My Name is Toro is a big thing about that.
It's probably bigger than it is family, because families break apart in like England, US, and all that. But in the West, East, there is it's a lot family orientated there. You big families.
Well, in China, there's a 2-child.
This is Japan, mate. All right.
If you look at
we're about Asian culture, though.
Asian culture in Japan, like for America, like the children are a lot less codependent on their parents, whereas Japan, the children will always kind of stay in the house and always be with the parents, and never be left alone with like babysitters or anything.
The life rate in Japan is quite high as well.
Yeah, so there's big kind of like.
They all smoke there.
Very, very family based, as you say.
I don't think I've ever seen a film where no one like fags it in Japanese.
Yeah, a couple of 20
especially in South Korea as well. Kurosawa used to smoke constantly.
Yeah.
Used to be a big admirer of John Ford, which Stagecoach. John Ford's a very strange director.
John Ford.
His daughter is actually Angelica Houston.
Okay. Is she?
Yeah. Who starred in The Addams Family and quite a few Wes Anderson films.
So should we get into the film? Because I know you say... So let's get into that first of all. So let's see what you both thought about it initially. Because you've never seen it before. I've seen it twice now.
Yeah, I'm quite ashamed that I've never seen this. Bear in mind, I've known... Akira is one of them names where if you grow up in cinema, you see Akira everywhere. I've seen Akira in so many, animation
Akira,
sections.
Ghost in the Shell, those are the two ones.
Yeah.
Other than Ghibli, which you go to.
Yeah, definitely. Ghost in the Shell I've seen quite a few times. Akira is one of them films where I've seen it, but I've never pulled the trigger to watch. Yeah. Which has become quite...
I think,
that's the same for me about last year. I watched it last year.
So you haven't seen it... I thought you'd have grown up with this film.
I didn't grow up with it, no. I kind of... In terms of Japanese cinema, which what I grew up with, I grew up with Ghibli more than I did anything else.
Okay.
From Japanese.
So going to another point, so you grew up with the animation.
I grew up with animation quite a lot.
What about you, Dave? Because obviously Pixar I grew up with, but I didn't grow up with that.
Yeah.
I didn't grow up with that animation of drawn style. Yeah. I like the animation of computer-generated imagery.
Pixar and stuff like that, yeah.
I think this is the first time in the podcast, apart from Ghost World, that is the first time I've ever watched this film. So I didn't go in it with a pre-existing knowledge, because obviously I've seen the rest of the films quite a lot.
Yeah.
Interesting, that's two Rob's choices as well.
Exactly, yeah. But, you say that you think that Rob and that would have grown up with it, but as discussed previously, I grew up with the Predator, the Commando sort of type.
I did as well.
Thing. So watching a film like this would have been totally out of the question at that point. Yeah. We wouldn't have watched stuff like this.
You say that, but I think if you compare this to Studio Ghibli, this is more Predator than it is Studio Ghibli. If you know what I mean.
I've never watched any Studio Ghibli,
so Studio Ghibli is very, very it's kind of big, small, simple stories with major aesthetics, but telling kind of a simpler story. But it's geared towards children most of all. And whereas this, it's still very graphic, and it is kind of it's more of a kind of teenager kind of actiony kind of film. Really, it's more it's kind of like the animated Matrix in a way. It's how people make
That's
it.
An interesting point.
I know, and it's an interesting point to say.
That's why I'll let Dave finish, and I'll bring it back to that point, because that is one specific reason why I do actually admire this film.
Yeah,
but currently, I'm what you're saying.
I pretty much finished. Yeah. So
go on your Matrix. But growing up with films like Commando, and growing up with films like Predator specifically, and obviously talking about the nuclear aesthetic, and then you've got the context of the film, which is obviously the nuclear war.
It's all about power as well, isn't it? Really, it's about.
I find that very surprising that you didn't or haven't taken the approach I thought you would towards this film. I thought you would have eaten this film up. I thought you'd have loved it. And not loved it, but I thought you'd have a lot admired it more.
I think the problem is I don't particularly like the aesthetic of it.
Okay.
I don't really like anime.
Okay.
I think when I found out, I still popped the DVD in.
Yeah.
I was got my popcorn. I was ready. I was like, I'm looking forward to this, because obviously, Ram isn't anime. Tokyo Story isn't anime.
Yeah.
And I took a big scoop of popcorn, and then it started being anime, and I was like, oh. So I think as soon as I saw it was anime, I sort of automatically got rid of it in my mind. I was like, I don't want to watch this at all.
Yeah,
I got really miserable. I sort of had to leave, come back.
See, I've got a bit of a prejudice, not a prejudice against anime, but most animes I do, because there's a lot of TV series of anime where there's a thing called fan service, which is it's very, very questionable. There's a lot of
Sorry, do you need to call someone, Rob?
No, fan service.
They call it fan
does
service.
Someone come to your door?
This is kind of so people over sexualizing female characters and that kind of thing. There's a big thing of anime with teenage kind of TV series.
Yeah.
But it's kind of done, but not for story based purposes. Whereas Akira, I kind of see it as it's kind of separated away from that, where it kind of uses the animation to kind of further the story, and it's kind of. If you compare it to what you have your usual perception of anime, I think it's kind of a difficult thing to enjoy. I would say.
I think Rob's right. I think there's a difference between the traditional anime you think you've seen and I've seen, and then when I saw this is a completely different ball game to me. This is all your B movies. It's a very strange comparison, but I compare all the anime films you were talking about are B movies, and then this is my Raiders. It's a B movie with a star in it, and it's quite star-studded, and it's a decent film. So this is my comparable.
Don't get me wrong,
Raiders.
I think it's a good film, but I was just saying my initial thoughts of it, because I went in with no pre-existing knowledge. I literally went to the library and I was like, oh, I might as well pick it up whilst I'm here.
Yeah.
You know, took it home, popped it in the old MacBook.
Yeah.
Sat down, and then it suddenly was anime, and it was quite weird because the films that we'd chosen, Yuchi and the Samurai film, had chosen like a kitchen sink Japanese family film, and then to see this come out of nowhere, you know, it's not like I didn't, as soon as we'd put this poll out, I didn't Google all the films and go like, well, let's see what the competition is. I literally just thought like, right, whatever wins, I'm not gonna. This is what I do every week, unless I've seen it, like Ghost World. Yeah. I didn't watch any trailers or anything like that. I literally just went into it like that.
Well, that's the best way to do that in films you haven't seen, though.
I think it was very surprising when I first went into it, and it was anime.
Yeah. So I think there is definitely tropes of the like normal animes which it does bring in. So
I can't name another anime, sort of Japanese anime film that I like.
Okay. Yeah. How many have you seen though?
Digimon the movie.
Digimon movie. I mean,
I haven't seen that.
It's kind of they are kind of produced for. You liked it? Okay. I haven't seen it. So.
It's alright. It's just a bit weird.
Well, speaking of which, we haven't addressed the elephant in the room. Which version have you watched?
I've seen the subbed version. I've seen a dubbed version, and the subbed version was a lot better.
Okay, I watched the dubbed 2001 version. Right.
Oh, do I have the DVD on?
I think you must have watched the dubbed version.
Yeah.
If it was in English, it was dubbed.
Well, yeah.
I can't you don't like the dubbed version.
So you watched the Japanese version?
I've watched the Japanese version with subtitles. That was the first.
So I probably would have preferred that.
I probably would have preferred that, but the 2001 version is the obviously the animation is updated. They spent another $1 million on the dub and all the animation sequences.
$1 million.
So like at the start. Well, that's a little bit out of context when you say that.
Austin Powers, there you go. Yeah, that's the context.
So if you look at the start when the nuclear bomb goes, and it says written and directed by blah blah blah.
The silence in that was very, very.
I don't think it works.
You don't like it? Okay, no, I like the silence.
I thought my TV was broken.
No,
but all the cities are much more updated in 2001 version. So I guess. It's a fan service. You talk about fan service, and sure, I can't understand why you don't like the aesthetics of the dub version.
Right. I thought the voice acting wasn't brilliant. That's why I didn't like it. I think it wasn't what I come to expect from a lot of dubbed versions of anime which I've seen. So like Studio Ghibli, they always get like a very big kind of good cast in there. Like there's
Christian Bale's
been in it.
Neeson's in Ponyo.
There's some very big kind of names in there, and I think this is interesting. I think we should do this. Is that we should recast. Who we think we'd put into the roles of like the
it's harder
we'll get into that later.
Yeah,
it's harder to do in
an animation film because it's voice.
But I think it's more interesting. I think there's more you can go for.
I'll do it, but only on the option that it has to be from 1988 actors to 1990 actors.
So no
one now.
Because I was going to say for Tetsuo, I was going to say Danny DeHaan.
I've already got Idris Elba lined up.
I think that I can't pronounce names, but whoever plays the main character, who's
Tetsuo.
Yeah, but who's actually on the red bike all the time?
Oh, Canada.
Yeah, Michael J. Fox.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think it's
let's continue. Let's go later because
I
haven't.
Why you tease it? You tease.
Yeah, that's the whole point for them to listen in longer. I've roped you all in.
No, this is when you'll change the tabs. Like
I'll put a little.
I'm not dead.
I'll put a little annotation here if you just want to skip the rest of this.
It's funny because you're not editing it. Continue.
Yeah, true. My laptop broke.
Like you spoke earlier about the Matrix aesthetic.
Right. Okay.
I can completely see the parallels between. The Wachowski's
It's interesting as well because I don't like the Matrix.
Yeah, and I love the Matrix trilogy. I think they're all really good films.
There's two of us and one of you, mate.
Yeah, but you don't like the sequels, but you haven't seen Revolutions.
I haven't seen the third one.
Well, exactly. So how can you state the trilogy if you haven't
seen it?
I
know. Is the third one the one with
you've got
the
no
Agent Smiths? And they jump on him.
Let's talk about
that's called a Burley Brawl. Get it right. I mean, if you're going to use
factual
evidence.
I go to Comic-Con every year. Try and find Matrix.
I don't want to go to Comic-Con. It looks sweaty.
I think we should.
Sweaty, that's a good word for it.
So going into it, obviously I went in the same direction as Dave. I didn't watch any trailers. I've known about its history, if you will, but I went into it with an open mind. And the first 20 minutes of it, I couldn't differentiate between it was flashback or present day. I just it lost me.
There's a lot of films like that, though, isn't there?
Yeah.
I just think that, and then it goes on and on and on, and then as soon as that kid's blows everything up in the beginning, I just knew exactly what this film was going to be about. And then towards the middle half, I'd say about 60, 70 minutes in, I started to get really more intrigued.
Yeah.
But it took 70 minutes. That's an hour and 10
minutes. Yeah, there is quite a
minutes.
long kind of after the first kind of act, not first act, but like when the initial kind of like motorbike chase and everything like that, and when they're working it for now, it takes a little while.
That itself would have been a great like Warriors-esque film, like a really good Clockwork Orange-esque film.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
That's a film I sort of thought I was going to see.
Yeah,
and then we had another. It's like someone throwing paint at a wall and then hopefully getting out.
So I really liked the drum track throughout this film. Like,
I think the soundtrack's amazing.
In that kind of sequence, it kind of very much mixes up with that kind of Warriors-esque.
Well, I can see obviously then again the Wachowskis' influence on the Matrix soundtrack there.
Yeah,
it's a huge influence on Western civilization nowadays. Never eat shredded wheat, and I can see how it's like it's probably in canon. I'd definitely say
the West takes a lot from the East, though, doesn't it?
Now it does. Yeah.
I mean, that's where Star Wars came from. What was the Kurosawa
Japan
film?
had a Death Star, didn't it? Something.
No, it's called. I forgot what the film's called. It's called.
Well, Fistful of Dollars is basically Yojimbo, isn't it?
Yeah, Yojimbo, and then initial Star Wars. George Lucas took the characters from one of Kurosawa's films, which was
I mean George Lucas and Francis Ford Coppola.
Wasn't it Han Solo's character?
It was.
No, you are right. Yeah.
There's also C-3PO and R2-D2 as well.
Is it Mifune? What's his first name? Toshiro Mifune, who worked in.
Yeah, I recognise the name.
He was going to be early cast as Obi-Wan Kenobi in Star Wars.
That'd be interesting. I think that'd be very interesting.
Very interesting. It would have been quite weird though. I guess that's because
he was best friends with Richard Gere.
Okay.
How weird is that?
Top bloke.
So I think it's interesting though because if they had cast in there, what would a Star Wars have been today, and how would cinema be today with like top billed Asian actors? Because we don't get that anymore, do we?
It'd have been a first, and especially in a sort of sci-fi American blockbuster. Yeah. I think Alec Guinness is stellar. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. Alec Guinness is one of the actors where he came out and said he hated it, then he didn't say he hated it, then he hated it. I think Mifune would have just hated it. Okay. He would have gone for the money, and I think Star Wars, a lot of them did it for the money.
I'm not completely sure he would have hated it because it is taken from a film he was in, and then
precisely.
It's inspired by Kurosawa.
But he stated that he was never in a good film except for a Kurosawa film.
Okay.
I think he would have just in spite hated it.
Yeah.
But I like I said, Akira is 120. It's 130 minutes.
130 minutes.
Yeah.
I swear to God, there's a good an hour and 40-minute film in there.
Yeah. Okay.
It could have been.
There's an excellent an hour and 40-minute film. 2 hours. There's 20 minutes of that film. It needs to get rid of because it's just long-lasting, establishing shots of the city. I get that. I get it's a nuclear wasteland. We've seen that at the beginning. I liked it. I mean, I'd watch it again, but I'd have to be in a mood.
I'd probably leave it a little while, and then I'd watch it again.
I wouldn't pick this up in the next.
There's a video I'd like you both to watch, which I'll put onto the Facebook chat. I'll put a link in the description as well. But it's about a guy who's talking about Akira and why it's important. And he shows like background art of what they've done.
Yeah.
And there's a little scene where they're walking across a bridge, and there's all the cities in the background, but there's about 3 layers to the city which they're walking past, and they walk past these two buildings. You can see like there's another frame moving in the background, and he shows the actual full frame of what was drawn there. And it's like this major fucking painting. The amount of effort which has gone into literally it's a 2-second scene. Like to like even comprehend how much effort has gone into the aesthetics of this film is like unbelievable.
I mean, do you feel like a film can do well only on aesthetics only?
That's why I don't think it's style of a substance there.
Yeah.
That's why I don't think it's perfect film. I think it's brilliant, and I think there's an underlying story there.
I don't think anyone can say that the detail isn't beyond amazing.
Oh, it's amazing. But do you not think that they sort of milk the establishing shots? They
do. Yeah,
the aesthetics of it. They definitely do. It's like look at this film. It looks really good.
For 1988.
Oh, don't get me wrong. 1988 is fantastic.
I think you can, and this might be a bizarre comparison, but I think you can compare this to James Cameron's Avatar.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It's first of its kind.
A comparison. Yeah.
James Cameron's Avatar goes on for 3 hours. It's shit.
I still haven't got through it.
It's Pocahontas. I've got 3D Blu-ray.
One thing I will say.
3D?
About the difference between this film and Avatar is that I think that the city is a character, and I don't think the world in Avatar is a character.
I disagree. I think Pandora is more of a character than the city.
Okay. Pandora
because it's more interaction with the city.
Okay, I haven't seen Avatar for a while. I think Akira's. I do think Akira's city is a massive character in the film, and that this is why everything's happened.
They've both got 2 huge MacGuffins in it, with Akira actually being something else in Akira, and then obviously
they're hard to acquire him. or whatever it's called.
Yeah, and it's just
that you could have just asked for.
Precisely. So I think that they both go on the same sort of elements. I mean, if I had to watch Avatar or Akira again,
I'd watch Akira.
I don't know which one I would choose, and that's not bad on Akira, and that's not good on Avatar. It's just that I think both of them are painstakingly too long.
I think I'd watch Akira. I don't like Avatar at all. I still haven't got through it.
I think the soundtrack as well, for me personally alone, for Akira, would just keep me engaged for the film. I can just watch it and
you say that. I mean, I love the soundtrack, but I thought it waned off towards the end.
I think there's places where it could have been where it wasn't as well.
Do you think if I made a film with some guy on the toilet that made it aesthetically and it sounded pleasing, do you reckon that would be a good film?
I think it depends how especially.
I'm going to have to say, this is so bad, but I would say I would say yes.
Yeah, because if you can make the setting the character,
yeah,
that's the thing. But if you can make the setting the character and like that kind of thing, like you can make if it was a film about someone being on a toilet and you made the toilet.
Yeah,
like, this kind of, like,
a few months ago we talked about the Adam Sandler short film with Paul Thomas Anderson.
Couch.
Yeah, I've watched that.
Did you see it?
Is it good?
I liked it.
You liked it.
You like Adam Sandler though, don't you?
Yeah, I do. And this
is
I
very
do
much
like.
not
I love
Paul
you,
Thomas
man.
Anderson.
No, he's not in I Love You Man.
No, what's it? I love you something. Oh, God, come back to me.
That's my boy.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Yeah. Jack and Jill's the worst one.
Oh, Jack and Jill's awful.
I watched That's My Boy in Cuba.
Okay, Rob.
And it's got really incestuous undertones.
So
I watched Taxi
What do
Driver.
you like about Couch? What do you like about Couch?
Couch. It's just simple. It's like finally, like you've got this black and white film. It's like it's not even like over 2 minutes long. Yeah. It's wonderfully shot. Paul Thomas Anderson.
Paul Thomas Anderson.
And it's got heart in it, and it's 2 minutes. Sandler, and that boy can act. I'm going to tell you right now. I watched him in a film the other day. He was in. I watched the trailer for The Do-Over, the new Netflix film. And I think I'm going to enjoy it because I really like.
God, you're such a hypocrite.
I really like David Spade in it. I mean, honestly, I watched
David Spade.
Yeah, do you know The Ridiculous Six on Netflix?
No, I haven't watched it.
Have you seen it?
I'm getting as far away from that film as possible.
I've seen it 4 times.
Really?
Yeah, it's rated 4.9.
I watched the what is it? The special. Something the other day, the new thing on Netflix, Ricky Gervais, isn't it?
Special Correspondence.
You told me to stay away from it.
Don't watch that.
Yeah,
I don't like Ricky Gervais, so I'm staying away from it.
I think Ricky Gervais' comedy is different from television and stand-up towards his film. He's never been able to integrate the comedy into film properly.
Yeah, what's the film that he did where everyone thought he was like got messages from God?
Invention of
Lying. Yeah. He just it could have been a good film, but it's just the fact it's like the sort of. I think the thing that happens in America is the cheeky sort of lad, British guy, doesn't work over there.
It doesn't, I agree.
But sort of like when Americans come over here, it works more. I don't know why.
It's
but then
culture.
Again, we sort of.
Do you not think he dumbs that film down a lot with his character as well?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Have you ever seen a film called Cemetery Junction that he directed with Stephen Merchant?
No.
It's not a comedy. It's sort of based on his life when he grew up in the 70s. A really good film.
Okay.
But he takes it too far every time. Like I think he gets. He's a powerhouse in Hollywood purely because he's the Brit that came over. He insults a lot of people and does really well.
I quite like Ricky Gervais. I mean, Ricky, if you're listening, give me a call.
Yeah.
I think his views on religion are a bit. I don't know.
I think it's completely correct. Continue.
I mean, I think he's a bit of a twat in the way that he goes about it. There, I think as much as he's correct, I think he's too arrogant about it. But we're not going to talk about that because it's not about.
I agree. But on the basis you said that, I think that if he's giving something like that stick, then surely he should be able to respect them for giving him back. Yeah. Also, I think that his animal rights thing is a huge thing in his life. But I've never seen him ever do anything with it.
Ain't that a good point though?
Well, I've never ever seen him donate any money or anything.
Yeah, but isn't it good that celebrities don't just go on Twitter and be like, "Yeah, donated $500,000 to this charity, favourite like."
Yeah, I would want them to do that.
I wouldn't want them to do that.
Well,
you know what I mean. If I give money to people, I don't come in and go, "I'm better than all of you." I just gave a homeless guy.
There's a difference between saying I donated £1,000 to RSPCA. If anyone can donate any money, please. Or, oi fuckers, donated £1,000 to the company. Fuck all you, I'm better than you. There's a difference. On Twitter as well, it's different. It's difficult to see emotion in sentences. Difficult.
I think if you met him in person, you'd change your mind about him. I'm pretty sure if you said to him about his animal care, I don't know why I'm defending him so much. I don't know why. Let's just move on.
Let's move on.
I do like you, Ricky.
So let's get back to Akira. We'll go back to the casting thing then. Actually, just to kind of wrap it up.
I want Michael J. Fox in it.
Okay,
I'll give you Michael J. Fox.
I'll give you it. Yeah. Can we have actors from current generation? Because if it's gonna be remastered,
to be fair, we did do that with Ocean's 11.
If it's gonna be remastered as well, it's gonna be redubbed.
History. Everyone then was acting then.
You have to say that, but it's gonna be redubbed. It's gonna be redubbed, and it's gonna have current actors who are gonna redub it. If it's ever going to be redubbed,
you just want that guy.
No, that's too difficult to do. That I tell you what. Why don't we do what Sony tried to do? Why don't we recast it live action?
Recast it live action.
Because if you do the voice, then you can just have anyone. I'd have Walken.
I still want Michael J. Fox.
I still want Michael J. Fox in it.
If we're talking 1980s to 1990s.
Live action, yeah.
1980s, yeah. Okay.
Okay, I want. Who else do I want?
The guy who plays the general with the hair, Brando. There you go.
On Brando.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I know I said this last week, but J.K. Simmons could do that role.
No, it's Brando.
He could do that role though.
I want pictures of that red motorbike.
J.K. Simmons could shit in his hands and clap, and you'd call it art.
Yeah, no.
To be fair,
I'm saying
J.K. Simmons as that or whatever a guy was in Spider-Man has to be one of the best casting decisions I think I've ever seen.
That's why Mark Webb never recast that in Amazing Spider-Man reboot because he couldn't do justice to it. There's rumours for a long time that he was going to do the same role, wasn't there, in the third one, but he never came about.
This is controversial, I know, it's bringing much wrestling. Vince McMahon could do that role.
I don't know who that is and I don't care.
Yeah, neither do I. How about Dustman Hoffman? Can we shoehorn him in anywhere?
Well, Dustman Hoffman's a really good actor. Really underrated actor.
I want to shoot him in.
In this film...
Wait, are we doing live action at that time or now?
That time. I think you could play the carer of one of the mutant children...
I think it's too small a part for him, though.
Yeah, but that's the best part. Liam Neeson for him, then.
Liam Neeson wasn't that big in the 1990s, though.
Yeah, he did Darkman in 1990.
Okay.
You don't know your shit to him.
I don't. No. What about Christopher Lloyd? Can we fit Christopher Lloyd in?
No, we can't. You can't fit Christopher Lloyd in. Richard Dreyfuss could probably get in somewhere.
Dark?
Marty! I don't think comedy right.
The reason I say current day, and I know I'm going back to it, but Ghost in the Shell is current day being remade.
What about Walken? Can we shoot a Walken in?
You probably could have Walken as the general. Like
general,
you probably could do like.
I want to walk like you.
Or the scientist, like the scientist. He could definitely be the scientist.
Yeah, he could probably
Christopher Lloyd,
definitely.
the scientist.
Oh, the guy who has the heart attack, definitely. Danny DeVito will play the guy with the heart attack.
God, we just shoehorn same characters in.
Yeah.
Glad we didn't make films in the 1980s. Would be like.
We'd make so much money off them.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Schwarzenegger would have to be in there.
Schwarzenegger could be the general.
So they tried to.
I need your boots, your jacket, and your motorcycle.
How about Paul Dano for Tetsuo?
He's been he's about 4 years old in 1988.
No, I'm saying for recasting now. That's what
we're
I'm
not
saying.
doing now, Rob.
But realistically, if you were redoing it, it would be now.
So say we'll take the Sony reboot then. Sony tried to do a live action of it in the 90s, and it was going to cost $300 million to stop. Okay. So they tried to cast Keanu Reeves as one of the. I think it might have been an actor. I don't know who was in it. And then they've redone it now, apparently, with Garrett Hedlund, who was the main character in Tron Legacy, who looks a very young Christian Bale. Yeah. I don't know whether or not they could do justice to that film with the live-action characters they've got now and the actors.
What, now?
Yeah, you need...
Okay.
I
think they could.
I think the thing about animation is that it lives long in the memory. That character will always be that character because we don't know who the actor is. I think in live action, you always resemble the actor of the character. So if you look at Raging Bull now... Taxi Driver is a prime example. Look at Taxi Driver Raging Bull. They're Travis Bickle and it's Jake LaMotta. It's not, it's Robert De Niro. And I can Google Robert De Niro now and see what he looks like. And he's an actor. So it loses that sort of, the open window, what people say, is that of actor and character. It's not like legacy. That's why animation will live long in the memory because it's a complete film. All we see is a film. We get no back, we don't get any back end to anyone. We don't get to see that animation character come out to life and go on the Raz in London or like that, do it?
Okay, one point I want to make, and this is just to wrap it up. This is just to wrap up why I think we're having such trouble casting this. Is because
we have no trouble.
We're trying to. Let me finish the fucking point though. Realistically, this is what you're making millions, but this is what's kind of like controversial about this. We're casting Western characters for Japanese
whitewashing,
roles. These are Japanese characters with very much Japanese. This is what they are.
Very, very Japanese culture. But I'm going to just rip you to shreds now, right?
Oh God.
The thing about this is the whitewashing thing. The Tilda Swinton one,
right,
in the Doctor Strange, that's whitewashing. Yeah. Because that is a Japanese. That's a Japanese person. Oh, not Japanese. It's an Asian person.
Yeah. Okay.
In the comics, and all they've done is they've genderfied it to a woman's role when it's a man's. But that is she's made up to believe.
She's playing a god.
Yeah, but she's made up to believe to be an Asian symbol of the East, right? In Akira, when they do the Old Boy reboot, is that not whitewashing?
I haven't seen the Old Boy reboot, and it's.
But is it not whitewashing though?
Is it not critically said it's terrible?
I like Old Boy.
Yeah, the remake.
I like the remake.
Yeah, okay, that's your.
But
opinion.
is that not whitewashing though? But is that not whitewashing?
Yeah, it's Spike Lee as well, so it's very, very hypocritical.
Precisely.
So
but,
that's my point. You just justified
but precisely. But right, there's a difference between taking a character and changing that to a white male, like Ghost in the Shell, right? That's ridiculous.
They're making the characters more Asian.
That's
CGI.
ridiculous.
That's
Paramount have denied that, but the sources have said it is true. But if Sony take Akira, which is a Japanese film, and try reboot it in America, and it's a reimagining, then isn't that surely a reimagining of the characters as well? If they set that in Japan,
yeah,
and they use white characters, that's whitewashing. But if they reimagine that in a different era in America, then surely that's not whitewashing because it's a reimagining of it.
Right.
I'm trying to think of more examples. Let's take another whitewashing example. Let's say the Wolverine, which is set in Japan.
Yeah.
Japanese characters.
Yeah. But they are actually Asian actors as well. Yeah. So that's fine.
But what if they would have set that tale, which was set in Japan?
Yeah.
In, let's say, Nevada.
Right. It's set in Nevada, so it's going to be American actors.
Precisely.
If they set Akira in America and remade it like
that's
that's
why I
fine.
agree with you.
That's what we were saying, though.
Yeah, that's what I'm agreeing with you.
But Akira is very much based on Neo Tokyo.
Precisely.
Tokyo is a character in itself.
We're saying if we were to reboot it, recast it,
reimagining it,
reimagining it.
Something like that.
New Jersey.
Chicago.
Yeah, it's Escape from New York. Look at Escape from New York. So that's very parallels I can see with Akira.
Yeah.
But I think
I can see that. That's fine.
But you've got to imagine Old Boy is a strange one because I think that is a whitewashing because all you're doing is taking the tale from Asian characters.
Yeah.
But the tale itself is the story. It's not the actors. Akira, you need that Asian sort of cultured actor.
Yeah.
In there because and Ghost in the Shell precisely.
Tokyo, yeah. Ghost in the Shell is very much built on Asian kind of like culture as well, like spiritual.
I mean, is like you look at Unforgiven, they've just remade that in Japan with Ken Watanabe as the Clint Eastwood character. Yeah. What's the issue there then? Because you're taking a white Western, well, you're taking a Western culture with the Western, which is a huge thing in America. You know, you've got your John Ford, your John Wayne. You're reimagining that as as a Japanese tale. Yeah. Is that not disrespectful on the people who made this? It's such a fine line.
It's a fine line, but I think it's very, very fucking obvious when it goes over the line. And if you said it in America, it's fine.
I think the Japanese are very respectful with that as well, because I've actually seen that film and it's actually really good. It's not nowhere near as good as Unforgiven, because obviously it doesn't do with the deals and the times of the actors. But I think that if Sony do this, and I believe it's going to happen one day or another, I would shout whitewashing. I would scream whitewashing. But if it's a reimagining.
It's a reimagining America, which I think they need.
You can't.
I think it's very much achievable, and it would be not kind of like thought of as a bad thing. I think it'll be fine.
Yeah, because
it's just taking a story which is very much relevant in America as well, because it's about nuclear stuff like that, and it's about power as well. Yeah. It's very much about power and the big thing like that. So I think to wrap it up, I think it's very interesting. That's very interesting, like a kind of discussion we've had about. Like
I mean, they could go on for hours and hours, but I mean, at the end of the day, I think that, like we said, I think we've come to a good conclusion. If the story is taken reimagining, then actors should be then put into that story. But if you're taking like Asian actors, I think Godzilla does a good job of it with adding.
The most recent one.
Yeah,
I haven't seen it yet. So.
I think it does. It takes the Japanese folklore, but it adds a few, and it reimagines it in America.
Yeah.
But it goes around the world and the sort of Japanese culture in it as well with Bryan Cranston. But
Ken Watanabe's in
it. But then again, like I think that it's a very thin line. But overall, I've enjoyed Akira. It's not the best film I've seen, and I haven't enjoyed it the most. But I'm glad I've watched it.
It's one you have to you kind of watch it and you come out of it thinking you know a bit more about cinema, isn't it? Like it's one of those things.
And it's a wonderful thing to see from 1988. Yeah. God, it's so far of its time.
The animation, if it was released now, it'd still be fucking amazing. That's one of the things.
I think if it was released now, it'd get lost a little bit.
It would get.
It's like Anomalisa now has come out. We've seen all that, but it's because it's so in detail.
Yeah.
This, I think, it's the start of something, isn't it? So I think that if it came out now, it'd be lost.
I think with maybe like a different acrylics or something like that, and just making it a bit more modern, and just tiny little details change, and it could still be released now and still be good.
Yeah,
definitely. Okay. Anyway, so thank you for watching this week's episode of the podcast.
Join next week where we have our final
season finale.
Yeah, season finale, which I think we might do.
Well, we're not decided yet.
We might do something special for it.
We'll do something special. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, we'll see you next week, and then we'll have a break for summer, but we'll get into that next episode.
We'll talk about that.
Cool. Okay. See you later.
Thank you very much for watching.
Yeah.
Bye.
See ya.
Right.